College Football 26 is right around the corner, and while we've already got a little bit of a taste of what EA is cooking, today I'm going to break down my personal wish list. So these are things that I think can take, what College Football 25 was last year. So I guess the initial entry into the series back into, what we remember it being, what NCAA 14 was. So first off, I'm not going to waste your time talking about the things we already know from the trailer. So shout out to Clemson's Hill, Enter Sandman at Virginia Tech. We know we're getting real coaches. We know we're getting real awards. We know we're getting crossplay and all the other confirmed features. Love it, but we're moving on. So the first thing on the docket is gameplay. So the biggest beef that I had with College Football 25 was when the game first came out, it felt pretty fluid. Like the movement was super good. Ball carry moves are super effective. But I feel like as the game went on, they kind of packed some of the moves. People were complaining too much. They felt like it was too overpowered. So they basically took away ball carry moves. You can maybe break one defender here or there. But if you didn't have kind of the best abilities and a bunch of them, ball carry moves are kind of useless. Like it wasn't really super fun to run around. Of course, it was better than Madden, but it wasn't what I expected a college football game to be. So I really want them to be able to find that middle ground between, the moves being too overpowered and just not completely useless at all, because we didn't really have that. It was either one side of the spectrum or the other. And then speaking of another thing that was kind of pointless without the abilities was O-line play. Like there were so many times where, you had the perfect setup. There was only 5 in the box. You had 6 people on the line. You had a tight end. And you had the numbers advantage on offense, but for whatever reason, your right guard, your left guard, they just decided to completely leave that defensive tackle and not touch him whatsoever, and then just let him lance into the backfield and give you a TFL. There was nothing really more infuriating than that. But I did notice that after you kind of advance further along in the game and you got more players with higher abilities, this issue kind of went away, and players were able to actually block their assignments, especially like on those inside zone or those power type plays where they had to pull. But it should be like a core gameplay feature. I shouldn't have to have an ability just for my O-line to have like the comprehension of basically like a middle school O-lineman. And then moving on to the next thing that I wanted and that I didn't really expect, one of my favorite features from NCAA 14 and kind of all the old NCAA games was you were able to put any player at any position. And in College Football 25, kind of the only position you can do that is you can put receivers at corner, but that's about it. Like I wanted to be able to, possibly like create like a true ATH. I wanted a guy who could play wide receiver, put him at safety, maybe return kicks, maybe even have like that guy play quarterback in a wildcat type of package. I thought, especially with the prevalence of Travis Hunter, that this would be more common. But this is something that I think was completely neglected in College Football 25, and something that I would like to see come back. If not for online play, at the bare minimum for those offline dynasties. And then the last thing I have when it comes to gameplay is just defense overall. Like I know that it's a college football game at the end of the day. Unless it's like Army, Navy, or 2 super defensive teams, I understand most of the time games are going to end up being like 28 to 35, 42 to 49, whatever. But let me get some type of hope of getting a stop. Like the reason the meta was what it was on College Football 25 is because zones really didn't play anything, especially deep zones. Like if you were on a hash, you could basically make those deep zones do whatever you want, and it was super easy to bomb them. And it kind of made people basically have to play cover 0, send 5, send 6 every single play. And I think they kind of got that idea a little bit, and that's why they are introducing this new custom stems feature or custom zones feature, which I imagine it just giving you the ability to basically stem your zone. So we got custom stems on the offensive side of the ball last year, so I imagine now we're getting it on defense. And I imagine that only working for the underneath zones. I'm not entirely sure if that's going to have an effect on, those deep zones, because that was the main issue that I had. Like with the switch stick, you can kind of pretty easily switch around underneath and take away route concepts there. But the deep zones, if you were on a hash, man, all it took was one pull route, and then boom, you're bombing it over top of that deep third, or you could easily bomb it over top of that deep quarter. So I definitely want them to fix kind of the AI like zone recognition. That was just like way too easy to bomb. But overall, it was like a good entry for the first college football game back in over a decade. So that's kind of what I was thinking when it comes to gameplay. And now, probably, I think most people's favorite part of college football video games is Dynasty. So that's what I'm kind of going to talk about here. And the first thing that I really want to see in this next upcoming iteration of college football is I want to see spring games. Like, I feel like the spring portion is a huge part of college football, and how Dynasty is right now, you kind of have like I want to say it's a 5 or 6 week phase where you're basically recruiting people out of the transfer portal, and then that's about it. But I think if during this phase you're able to have, host some spring practices and then ultimately have a spring game where it's basically good on good, you can kind of have a semi-empty stadium, and then you have your players go at it. You can get those guys that you just got out of the transfer portal, you get them on the field, see how they move, see if maybe you want to recruit some more, you want to encourage them to enter the transfer portal again, and maybe go get some new guys. But I feel like this is something that wouldn't be too much of a heavy lift for EA from a development standpoint, because it's basically just a glorified practice mode that will be in a real stadium. But I think it would add a lot to the game. Like, spring is a real portion of the season, and it's just completely overlooked in the current structure of Dynasty right now. And then in that same vein, I want senior all-star games. So think about the Shrine Bowl, think about the Senior Bowl. I want to see how my seniors ultimately rank up nationally to their opponents, as well as it'll just be a good chance for you to basically say farewell to those seniors that you'll never get to see again. Because I don't think we'll ever be able to get a draft class where we can port our draft class from our Dynasty over to Madden franchise. But I think this would be a cool way not only to use other players. So think of like a Pro Bowl type mode like what we have on Madden, but basically like an all-star game that after the season concludes, and I can go and I can be let's say I'm in the Oregon Dynasty, I can still go use those Alabama receivers that are like 3-4 years into the future, and then ultimately just see all of those names get recognized with all those names that I have been playing against up until this point, but I will get to use them. And then once again, I just don't think it's a super heavy lift. Like, it would be pretty quick, like get all the best players, first team All-Americans for this conference, for that conference, put them all in one game, and boom, we have like a whole new feature that I think a lot of people would enjoy. And then this next one, we used to have this way back in the day, but I'm not sure when it went away. But I want a coach mode, and I'm not talking about like just the standard super sim that we have right now, but I want to actually be able to like sit on the sideline almost, or even if it's like from a all 22 type of view, I want to kind of watch the game unfold. And I think this will even be cool if we were able to watch the other like CPU control games. So maybe we didn't make the national championship, or maybe we want to go watch what's happening on the other side of the bracket in that college football playoff. I think a coach mode where, for one, at least just let us watch the game, but preferably let us also call plays. But then for two, let us entirely spectate and just be outside of the game entirely. If we wanted to do a sim in that style, or like I said, watch a game that we're not even taking part in. I think that would be super cool. And then speaking of coaches, we need more customization for the coaches. I think there was 2 different clothing types that you could use for coaches, and I don't know, there's literally an unlimited amount of things that they could have did. Like, there was a million different cleat combinations, which I thought was solid for the first year, but obviously there's room to be built upon there. But let me choose the sneakers I'm wearing. Let me choose if I'm wearing pants or shorts. Let me choose whether or not I'm in a hoodie. Hell, if I want to go like full like Bill Parcells, like John Madden back in the day, let me decide if I want to wear like a crew neck or even a suit if I want to go that route. But I think there's definitely a lot to be desired when it comes to the customization of your coach. And then more from a gameplay component, I would really like to see the ability for you to reset your skill tree. Now I understand why they did it the way they did it, and I also think you should be able to like fully max out your skill tree. Like, if I want to play for a full 25 seasons and reach a level 150 in the Dynasty, I should be able to do that. Like, I shouldn't be limited to the amount of levels that they put in the game. Like, if I wanted to create like a God mode, Nick Saban on steroids, let me create that Nick Saban on steroids. And then more in that customization type of realm is I want to see the ability to change and create my own playoff format. This is something that I thought we would have got last year, but I think what we're seeing today in real life, where you see the format of college football is changing year after year. And I'm talking about the playoffs. Like, if I want to go back to the BCS era and do only 2 teams, or I want to do the original college football playoff where it's only 4 teams, I should be able to do that. Or even if I want to up it to 8, 12, 16, hell, 32. If I want to go that far, I think I should have the ability to do that, and I don't think it would be too much of a lift again from the developer standpoint. Because I remember for NCAA 14 revamp, people were doing these different playoff formats, so you can have 4, 8, 12, 16 teams. So if we're talking Xbox 360 / PS3 type of like compute power, I think they could handle it on, you know, the Xbox Series X and the PS5, and soon to be these way out like next gen consoles. So that's something I want to see for sure. And then something that I thought was cool to have was the conference realignment. So you were able to kind of move teams from conference to conference. If you wanted to bring back the Pac-12, you could bring back the Pac-12 and move all those legacy teams that were in the Pac-12 over to the Pac-12. But I want to be able to create my own conferences and upload custom logos. Like, say, for example, if I want to bring back the Big East and make the Big East a huge football conference, I should be able to do that. But you're only limited to the 5 or so conferences they have in the game when it comes to the Power Fives, and then you had the smaller Group of 5 conferences. So I think that kind of left a little bit to be desired. Where if I wanted to create like a new super conference, it kind of still had to have the same like Big Ten, SEC, or like ACC type of name. So I want to see that conference creation ability. And then something that I missed from the older NCAA games was those ESPN Classics. I want to be able to save either full games and go back and rewatch them, or at least let me get some highlights. And then even if they were able to do like a weekly breakdown of like what happened in the previous week in the CPU games, I think that would be cool. I remember we had something like that. Like, let's say Alabama came back and beat Ohio State in that previous week in double OT. They should be like a pop-up where we currently have like that breaking news tab. Let it be ESPN Classics, or if you can't get the right to ESPN, create some generic sports network, and then show the highlights there. But I feel like this is an aspect of the game that was missing a lot. And then the next thing I wanted to see, which I know there's legality to this, but let us edit recruits. I think we're moving in the right direction. Players are getting paid. Let us edit these recruits. But I understand if not. But I'm happy for what we have, but I understand if they ultimately don't end up going this route. And then from a more realism standpoint, I'm just kind of tired of seeing at the end of the season when the coaching carousel would start, you would either not get any jobs, or you would get jobs that would be like complete demotions. Like, if I just won a back-to-back natty, I should not get a job from a 3-star program to be their offensive coordinator when I just won back-to-back natties as a head coach. But in that same vein, there was also times where I feel like they wouldn't give you any job opportunities because they feel like they weren't good enough. So I don't know, they got to find a middle ground when it comes to that. But that was something that was kind of annoying at times. And then on the flip side of that, when it comes to realism, was when you would get kind of 1 or 2 years into a sim, it made no sense for Alabama to completely fall off a cliff. Like, they've been good for the past 15, 20 years. Alabama should not be losing to UMass. Like, UMass should not become a dynasty in 3-4 years. So I feel like there needs to be something coded in on the back end where Ohio State in 3 or 4 years is still going to be good. Alabama in 3-4 years is still going to be good. Now, obviously not in every single league, but I feel like it was way too common where we had leagues that, these teams that nobody really roots for outside of, I guess, the alumni, they become God squads within a couple seasons, where the Blue Bloods, the Ohio States, the Alabamas just kind of completely fell off the map. And then something that I forgot to mention earlier when it comes to the creating conferences, but I think for sure we need to have dynamic conference realignment. Like, if I take over James Madison and I'm dominating, I shouldn't have to manually go in and move up to the ACC. Like, I should be able to get a conference invite and say, hey, we noticed you've been dominating. How about you join the ACC? How about you join the SEC? I think that would be super cool. And then I think I saved the best for last, but they need to implement somehow like an NIL type of feel to the game, where I know kind of what they have in place now. You kind of get a feel for NIL in the sense that once your program becomes more storied, once you level your coach up, your coordinators are starting to level up, you do have a serious advantage over those smaller schools, or even like just comparing it to when you were just starting out. But I want to see a dollar amount budget. Like colleges, they basically have they actually do have a salary cap in place now. There's not even like a scholarship limit anymore. It's more of a roster limit, and yeah, we're playing college football with the salary cap. So I think that needs to be in the game somehow. No, I know it just is still like in the early workings, but we kind of got an idea of how it could possibly play out over this past season. So I think EA should be able to take their first stab at it in college football 26 and then ultimately get this in the game. And now moving forward, this is kind of related to Dynasty, but this is Teambuilder, so that's what this section is. So Teambuilder, we kind of got a good introductory to it last year, where you go on the website and you kind of get things in motion there. But I really want a fully fleshed out stadium builder, kind of like how MLB The Show has. They have the best one that I've seen for all of these next generation games. So I think it would be a lot of fun to be able to create a stadium from the ground up. Or even if I take over a small school, I don't know how much work it would be, but I should be able to add and edit my current stadium. Like if I take over Appalachian State and we somehow become a blue blood powerhouse, we've been dominating for the last 15 years, I should be able to upgrade my stadium to hold 90,000 people. And then on top of that, I want to be able to create dynamic rivalries and also add on mascots to my team builder team. That was something that I noticed was missing, is that once you created a team builder team, you couldn't do any mascots, and the rivalries, they didn't exist. And now lastly, I saved this for last because I feel like it matters the least, but it definitely does matter. And that's the visual/equipment component of the game. Now, the first thing I wanted to talk about for sure was fixing the player models. Like, some of these guys look like they've been eating 6 meals a day, and all they do is go to Corral, or I guess in this case, they're taking advantage of that all-you-can-eat dining hall. But there's no reason that players should look like this. Like, this is what the player looks like on one side in real life, and then this is what they look like in the game. Like, that should never be a thing. And then kind of in that same vein is the crop jerseys. Nobody wears their crop jerseys like this. Like, from the front, you literally cannot see any number whatsoever. So they definitely have to fix this. It should look more like this, kind of how you see these guys wear them in real life. So that is something I want fixed. And then I want to be able to do either branded or custom like backplates. So for those guys that have their backplate showing, at least throw a team logo on there, if not like a Nike logo or Under Armour, Adidas logo type of thing on there. So I feel like that should be in there for sure. And something that was super small that got on my nerves, but there's no reason that coaches should not have headsets. Like, they're sitting on the sidelines with nothing in their head. Like, even that clip we saw with Steve Sarkisian right here, why does he not have a headset on? I don't know. It takes away from the immersion. And once again, it's one of those things where it's not that much work. Just fix this. And then jumping back over to the gear, I think hanging mouth guards would be cool. I understand why they don't have them, because technically players are supposed to have their mouth guards in. But on top of that, I want to see one leg sleeves. I want to see the double arm sleeves. And like, what I mean by that is, like, you should be able to have the tight short sleeve compression as well as the shooter sleeve. So right now it's either one or the other. You can either do the shooter sleeve, or you can do the one sleeve compression, but you can't have kind of that, like what RG3 used to do, what Patrick Mahomes currently does. I think Jackson Dart as well. That's the one up that we have here. So I definitely think they have to fix that. But they did a good job for the first entry to it. Like, I like that we got pants above the knees and things like that. But of course, there's always things to build upon. And then additionally, I want to see dynamic weather. Like, if it's Penn State in the middle of the winter, let's say it's like November or early December, I wanted the game to slowly start snowing. Like, it might not be snowing for kickoff, but as the game goes on, as the snow plows aren't able to plow anymore, I want to see snow slowly build up across the game, or do the same type of thing with rain. I know we're getting the dynamic lighting, so games that kind of start in that middle ground between let's say like a 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. start. They'll start off in sunlight and then they'll get darker as we progress to the third, fourth quarter. I think that's cool, and I think that leaves room for us to be able to ask for this dynamic weather type of thing. And then kind of my long shot ask is a cleat creator. Like, I think NBA 2K, they've had a shoe creator in the game since Xbox 360 days, And I think it would be cool for us to be able to have this in NBA 2K. And I'm not even talking about creating your own silhouette. I'm talking about being able to create your own just colorway. Like I don't want to be able to do a whole silhouette. I want to be able to take this Jordan 1 cleat and I want to formulate it, do the color blocking how I want to make it, so it like fits the best with my team, and I want to be able to put it on my players, and then let me give them names and things like that. But also too, I want to see some new cleats. They were definitely missing some of the newer models, and some of them just look super clunky, like on the players. Like they were a little bit too large for the player models, and it kind of kept me from using them. I didn't play much Road to Glory, but I would always edit my guys when they came in as recruits on Dynasty, and just some of the cleats just looked horrendous. The way they had them mocked up. Like I'm gonna throw some up on the screen here, but they just weren't always what they were supposed to be. And then last but not least, we need the PC mode. I have no idea why they didn't decide to do the PC port, but please just port the game to the PC. Let the PC modders go crazy, and then we can really get what we want. Like look at what these modders are doing right now on Madden. Like you never would have thought that this was a college football game. Or excuse me, you never would have thought that this was an NFL game, but this is an NFL game. This is what the modders are currently doing right now with what they have access to. But ultimately, that's gonna be it for me. That was my full college football 26 wish list. I know some of it is a little ambitious, some of it is a little bit more reasonable, but all of it is rooted in what in my head would make the best college football game we've seen. So let me know what's in your wish list in the comments. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.